Us is a 2019 horror movie directed by Jordan Peele, and it stars Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke and Elizabeth Moss. So before we get into this review, guys, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, look away now. The story revolves around a family who go to their vacation home in the summer and then they're terrorised by doppelgangers. Now I'm going to start with the trailers for this film. I don't normally talk about the trailers, but there's one thing I really liked about the trailers for Us and one thing I really disliked about the trailer. The one thing I did like about it was it made us think that there was only doppelgangers for the main family. However, there wasn't. There was doppelgangers for everybody. I don't know if it's everybody in the world or everybody in Santa Cruz. They didn't make that clear. But that's a good thing. They didn't show anything like that in the trailers. So that was a good surprise. However, in the trailer, we see Lupita Nyong'o's character as a kid in 1986, and she sees herself for the first time from what she thought was a mirror, and in the trailer you see her grabbing herself and it cuts off, so we don't know what happens. But then when you start watching the movie and you don't see that happen at the start of the movie, you've got to think to yourself, why did they cut that out at this moment in time? And it builds up to what is going to be the twist in the movie. So halfway through the movie, knowing that this scene is still to come, you know what happens at the end of the movie. I won't say anything yet until the end of this review, but that spoiled it for me. Now the acting in this film, now we say it every year that acting in horror movies is getting better, but then they don't get the recognition at the Oscars, the Academy Awards or whatever it is. They don't get the recognition. Now Lupita Nyong'o's portrayal of herself and her doppelganger in this film was just incredible. The fact that she's played two completely different people in this film, and she played them so perfectly. She could have, if it was possible, she would probably win 2 Oscars for her 2 performances in this film. She was that good. Jordan Peele likes to do the comedy value in his films, and in this film the comedy came from Winston Duke. I didn't know who Winston Duke was when I watched this film. I recognised his name and I recognised his face, and all the way through the film I was thinking he reminds me of somebody, and I didn't even realise he played M'Baku in the Avengers movies and in Black Panther. So again, he's played 2 completely different characters, not only in this movie but in the Avengers and in this. He's a great actor, and this is only the 2nd or the 3rd film that I've saw him in, so he was excellent in this as well. I'm not going to go through everybody's acting, but those 2 were the main standouts for me. Everybody else was good, but Winston Duke and Lupita Nyong'o were top notch. Jordan Peele's movies have always been controversial for some reason. I don't know why. Well, we do know why, but it doesn't need to be controversial. Get Out was a great movie. It was very overrated, but that was not Jordan Peele's fault. That was the media, the audience, everybody who was bigging it up to be the best film ever. It just didn't live up to that, for me anyway, and for a lot of people. And Us, they tried to do the same thing again. Again, not Jordan Peele, but the media, everybody who was linking Jordan Peele to Us and all that, they just made it sound like it was going to be the best movie of all time. And in fact, the first day that it got its reviews, it was already dubbed the greatest horror movie of all time. Now, that might have been true before I went into the movie. However, the chances of it being the greatest horror movie of all time is very, very slim. So I tend to ignore the reviews when I go and see movies like this, because they don't really match up to what I'm reading about. I go and read this great review for a horror movie and I go and see it, and it's nothing like that. Sometimes I enjoy it, sometimes I don't, and I think sometimes when I don't enjoy it, it's because of the reviews it was getting and how I felt about it. So get into Us, I had to wipe the slate clean and just say to myself, I'm not even going to think about the reviews that I've read. I'm just going to go into it with an open mind and I'll make my own decision. As a photographer, you tend to look at some scenes differently from other people with the cinematography in the film. And I think the Jordan Peele cinematography in Get Out was great, but you can see a big difference with the cinematography in Us. I don't know if that was Jordan Peele's doing, but he had a bigger budget with this movie, and you can just tell that they spent the money well, because every scene was a photographer's dream. Even the camera angles in this film, when the camera goes upside down and to the side and it goes like the bird's eye view, everything about it was just so beautifully shot. Now moving into the story, with the horror elements in this film, I think the horror parts were the best and the strongest parts for this film. It was well and truly a horror movie. A lot of people said that, oh, it's like a thriller or whatever, but yeah, it's definitely a horror movie. More horror than Get Out was, and I think, like I said, the strongest parts of this film were the horror aspects of it. I think what let this movie down, in a way, was the doppelganger part, the story behind how there is an equal to everybody in this film, including the other people that are not part of the family. I think that it was too exuberant, the story, about how they became doppelgangers, and I think if they kept it just to this family, it might have made more sense, even though it doesn't make sense, but it might have made more sense for the story, keeping it isolated, but making it media wide. When the media got involved throughout the film, I thought, how are they going to explain this? Because they didn't have to explain it, because it was part of a family, but when it goes media wide and possibly worldwide, then you're going to want answers, and that's answers that we didn't get fully. So yeah, I felt let down by the doppelganger part of the film. I think if they kept it mysterious, or more mysterious, I might have liked it more in the end. As for the twist in the film, like I said at the start of this review, it spoiled it for me for the trailers, because at the start of the trailer, or sorry, at the start of the movie, 1986, you see Lupita Nyong'o's character going into this little mirror place, and she sees herself in the mirror, but it turns out it's not her, it turns out it's her doppelganger as a child. And we're led to believe that years later she was traumatized by what happened, and this little girl that she saw just disappeared. And throughout the film, when I'm watching it, I noticed that the doppelganger version of Lupita Nyong'o could speak, but the rest of them couldn't speak. The rest of them just made these noises, whereas she could actually speak. So I'm thinking, how can she speak but the rest of them can't? How is she so smart but the rest of them aren't? And then I said to myself, well, it looks to me like when she was in the Hall of Mirrors, she switched places with the girl in the mirror. So the doppelganger came out as a child and pushed that girl back as a child. And that would explain the reason that she never spoke for a while when she got back from the Hall of Mirrors. And I just think that the trailer spoiled that for me. So halfway through the film, this is what I kept thinking to myself, that the doppelganger was the real good person, and the mother was the bad person. And then at the very end of the film, that's when the twist was revealed, that yes, they were switched as children. So the doppelganger was living a life with everybody else, whereas the human, the normal person, was trying to find a way to get out, and she eventually got out to try and take back her life, basically. So I think it was quite poetic, and I liked the twist, but the trailer spoiled that part. I'm not going to sit here and say that I understood everything that happened in Us, because I don't understand everything, and I don't think we're meant to understand. I think that Jordan Peele, the way he does his directing, is he leaves the little things open for interpretation, open for us to decide what happens in our own minds, and that's good directing. And you've got to remember, this is only his second movie directing, and he's already a controversial director, not in a bad way, not in a great way, but he's a controversial director, and rightly so, because he does make interesting movies and very unique movies as well. Overall, guys, I think that Us was slightly better than Get Out. I think that's because it's more of a horror movie, and I prefer my horror movies. Get Out was probably better acted, aside from Lupita Nyong'o, but and I also think that Get Out was more mysterious, whereas Us was more predictable but more fun. If you're into your horror movies where it doesn't spoon feed you all the answers, I think you'll really enjoy Us. And if you enjoyed Get Out, I think you'll enjoy Us even more. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching again, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you